Estimating is hard. Let's talk about how to do it better. I've been estimating tickets for years as a software engineer, but as an EM, I'm not used to giving dates for large projects. So I've been researching different techniques to make it better. First, I discovered the noestimates crowd. Alan Hulab had a great talk on this, and so did Scott Connolly, if you're looking for a more condensed version. The argument is that estimating leads to a lot of dysfunction because leaders in the business take engineering estimates as binding, and this causes a death march or people overworking, missing deadlines, etc. The argument is that we're estimating something which is non-estimatable because program is innovative work. So to give us an extreme example, how long would it take to invent a flying car is very different from asking how long would it take to build a brick wall. So how can we improve it? Well, a better approach is, instead of having a long, 1 year long project, we can break it down into smaller chunks. Let's say break it down into a 1 month iteration. And then at the end of the iteration, we ask, should we continue with the project or should we cancel it? Both Alan and Scott argue that using points to estimate tickets is a waste of time. For example, many teams use Fibonacci estimates on tickets. So a ticket might be 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And the original purpose of that in Scrum was to disassociate it from time, but still allow us to have some measure of complexity. Personally, I agree with this. I think a lot of teams are doing point-based estimates and just going through the motions, not really giving it much thought and not using the point estimates for much. Alan then goes on to present research which says that if all stories are estimated as 1 point, the accuracy of a forecast is very similar to Fibonacci estimates. And what that means is that we can get rid of points altogether and just count tickets. I'm not sure about the validity of this research, but I'm keen to try it with my teams. Now, in Alan's talk, he suggests that business dates shouldn't be given. He says that the business should decide what to build, and the engineers should be responsible for how they build it and how long it will take. This doesn't work well in most companies unless there's a big change in culture. And so what else is out there? What other research did I do? Well, I came across a post by Gergely Orosz titled, Yes, You Should Estimate Software Projects, where he pushes back against the no estimates movement. He argues that estimates are important for business. Even though they're hard, we should try to do them. For example, I can give many examples, but one example is Apple always launches their new releases on WWDC, not some random date when the engineers are ready. He also says that estimates are hard for everyone, not just software engineers. If you speak to people in construction, marketing, recruitment, etc. I think this is a very good point. It's easy for us as software engineers to think that we're special or it's a unique industry when actually other people suffer from the same problems. Gergely says that communication is very important, and that if a date is fixed, it doesn't mean we have to go into a death march and just continue on this impossible goal. What we can do is work with the business, work with leadership to cut the scope, modify the product offering, and work with the business to hit the date with the resources that we have. Gergely gives an example of when he was working on a release for Skype for Xbox, and he says the team had 16 months to complete the project, and at the start they were working on pointless features, unuseful optimizations, adding Easter eggs, things like that. And then towards the end, they had to really focus, increase speed, and cut out unnecessary work. What this shows is that having a date is motivating. If there's no date set by the business, engineers are free to do what they want and decide the dates. They can become unfocused, unmotivated, and work a lot more slowly. My take is somewhere in the middle. I'd like to use the best of both of these approaches. I agree that story points are largely useless outside of the team. if engineers don't find value in them, then there's no need to point tickets, in my opinion. However, it doesn't mean that we can completely ignore dates. As Gergely says, they're very important for the business. I like to take a long-term project and cut it into short-term milestones so that we have a short-term date for which to build a proof of concept or an MVP and then iterate on that quickly. This avoids the problem that Gergely described where teams coast in the beginning and then they have to sprint at the end. I hope you found this useful. Estimating's hard, and I'm sure I'll release more videos on this in the future.